Hello everyone, I'm Bryson Nagel and thank you for joining me here. So, from Breitbart, Hungary's pro-family policy is working, births up 9.4%. The pro-family policies pursued by Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government as an alternative to mass immigration are reaping dividends with births up 9.4% year on year. Eduard von Habsburg, the Central European country's ambassador to the Holy See, and great-great-grandson of Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austria-Hungary, reported that the much-ridiculed policies were also accompanied by a near 100% increase in marriages and the number of children per woman rising to an average of 1.6. In Hungary, the population has been decreasing since 1981, said Katalin Novak, Hungary's state secretary for Family, Youth and International Affairs, in exclusive comments to Breitbart London, explaining the enormity of the turnaround her government has achieved. In 2010, when Orban's Fidesz party won the elections with a two-thirds majority after 8 years of socialist, anti-work, anti-economy, and anti-family governance, our country was at the brink of collapse, she recalled, citing austerity packages and the dismantling of the family benefit system. In 2010, we started to build a family-friendly country. Our main goal is to eliminate the burdens that couples face when they would like to have children, she said, highlighting policies including lifelong exemption from personal income tax for women with 4 children, partial mortgage write-offs for families after the birth of their second child, and grandparental leave. The recent demographic figures speak for themselves. The number of marriages is at its 40-year high, the fertility rate at its 20-year high, while the divorces haven't been as low as last year in the last 6 decades, she added proudly. And there's a little tweet from the descendant of a dead emperor monarch. The state secretary, herself a mother of 3, was forthright when pressed to comment on the past remarks of outlets such as the left liberal Economist magazine, which rubbished the Hungarian government's aspirations to arrest its demographic decline through so-called natalist policies, rather than mass immigration, as Western European countries such as Britain, Germany, and Sweden have attempted. The Hungarian point of view is that we have to rely on our internal resources, namely supporting families and enabling young couples to have children. The other approach says that there is overpopulation in one half of the world, while there is a population decline in the other, so let's just simply balance the difference, she said, offering a concise summary of the current state of the debate. We are lectured and stigmatized simply because we took a path that is different from the mainstream and exposed to continuous attacks for years, but facts are facts. Our results are clear, so far, and we also enjoy the support of Hungarian people, she said. I read the critics and the pessimistic predictions of economists in February now. I would be pleased to read at least the recognition of the facts, the obvious positive demographic figures in recent months, she added, in what may prove to be a forlorn hope. Ms. Novak also offered a tactful rebuke to the Swedish government, which took the extraordinary decision to summon the Hungarian ambassador when the most recent package of pro-family policies were announced, claiming that they reeked of the 1930s. Well, if you want to have a lot of babies, there's certain ways to do it, I suppose. After the outrageous statement of their family minister, many Swedish people assured me that they would very much welcome such a supportive pro-family policy package in their own country, said Novak. I won't teach lessons to other governments, but I await them to give us the same respect. Interesting. So, frankly, I don't know a ton about Hungary, but it is a very interesting country to keep an eye on, especially, of course, when they're led by Mr. Viktor Orban, their prime minister, who states that he is pro-family. Now, not just him, a bunch of other people are noticing that Western Europe and pretty much the rest of Western civilization wants to, open up their borders as much as possible to fix the potential declining population. Not the birth rate, not the native birth rate, just the population. Now, at least Orban understands that you can't just increase, or at the very least maintain, your population numbers through immigration alone. Like, if anything, immigration, without strong assimilation, will lead to societal issues. However, immigration, of course, has really nothing to do with a native population's declining birth rate. It's the native population's issues that cause the declining birth rate. Immigration is just kind of a side story. It's kind of a scapegoat. That doesn't matter too much. The issue is the native population. And unfortunately, it's affecting pretty much every single Western nation there is, including Hungary. But now, I don't want to be too negative or too dismissive of Hungary's Prime Minister Orban and his government's efforts. But the facts, of course, are still facts. I don't want to be I'm not going to be hateful or anything like that. Just don't want to be, too negative. While the birth rate has increased by 9.4% year on year, the number of children per woman is an average of 1.6. That's still below the needed birth rate of 2.1 to have a stable population. So how is Orban trying to fix a population decline without, importing people, trying to get some sort of immigration? He's trying, or he is somewhat succeeding at least, to use the government to pay people to raise children, or at least have children, and hopefully raise children. This sounds very costly, of course. Now, Hungary doesn't spend a lot on its military, and this is from Trading Economics. It should be fairly reliable. Maybe not the most reliable, but fairly reliable. Now, this is based month on month. We can go for the past 5 years for Hungary's fiscal expenditure, but it gives you Hungary's government and the government debt to GDP, budget value spending, as well as complete fiscal expenditure, which we're on right now. They spent, in February, over 1.3 billion Hungarian forints. And then you could also go to its revenues, which is little less than 1 billion forints as well. So they're spending a little bit more money than what they actually have. They really don't spend much on the military, which makes some sense if you know where Hungary is located in Europe. But is paying people, or paying really women, even the grandparents, or just people in general in Hungary, is it worth paying them money just to have and raise children? Well, according to NPR, not really. So, this is from 2011. When governments paid people to have babies. How much is a baby worth? Let's set aside for a moment all those goo-goo feelings about that big ball of cute chubba. Wow. A baby is also an economic investment. Businesses get a new worker and a new consumer for products. Parents get someone who will support them in their old age. Governments get a taxpayer and a guarantee that the country lives on, or hopefully a guarantee. Sure, there are 7 billion people on the planet, give or take, but for a lot of countries, the problem isn't too many people, it's too few babies. In parts of Europe and Asia, couples aren't having enough babies to keep the population steady. Some governments, though, have responded by paying people to have kids. Germany, Japan, Russia, Taiwan, the list goes on and on. None is having enough children to keep population steady. Even developing countries like Brazil and Iran have seen their birth rates drop. This can be good for a little while. With a young workforce and fewer babies to take care of, a country can show enormous growth. But, then people start to get old. And governments say, oh no, who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to pay for pensions? Who's going to pay for my social security program or retirement program? Says Patricia Bowling, a political scientist at Purdue. In many countries, including the U.S., workers pay for retirees' pensions. Fewer kids mean fewer workers funding those pensions. And in countries that have really low fertility rates, that's a very extreme problem. Bowling says it makes what we have in the U.S. look like peanuts. So, governments around the world have started paying for babies. In Australia, you can get a baby bonus, payments of about $6,000 over the baby's first year. In Germany, it's paid childcare leave, up to $35,000 over the course of a year. But it's not clear that money can buy you a better fertility rate. Germany's very generous paid maternity leave hasn't produced a baby boom, for example. And this is in 2011. Women want to work, get educated, and want to work, Bowling says, and many jobs pay more than any government fertility program. Japan is shrinking even after the government has tried to ramp up baby benefits. Same with Southern Europe. In some countries, male-to-female relations may be a bigger impediment than money. Bowling says women may be deciding, look, if it's all me and I'm doing all the child rearing and maybe working outside the home as well, and you're having a drink with your buddies every night, forget it, I don't want to have any kids. Well, besides this little feminist quip here at the end, saying that men are basically lazy and don't want to help with child rearing, is the article wrong when it states that giving money to women to have babies isn't or wasn't really working? I mean, like I said, this article is almost a decade old, and since then, Australia, in Germany, for example, those countries mentioned in the article, they definitely have not had a baby boom. I mean, sure, you might say Germany had a little, higher population because of the Syrian conflict and stuff like that, but there's no baby boom. Now, according to NPR here, and what some other people think, basically, if you want to pay people, or really women, to produce lots of babies, or children, you have to give them more money than what they would be able to earn at a job to have a stable population. And that's a maybe. That's a maybe. There's no guarantee. And you know what? Let's say Hungary or another nation implements this type of program. That's going to cost a lot of money. How is the government going to afford a program like this? Of course, taxes. And who in general pays the most taxes? Not women. Probably not trans folks. But men do. What if, instead of paying women to have kids, we, say, hey, you know what? Women, you're getting more and more out of the workforce. And we're not saying women get out of the workforce completely. But let's say that more of the jobs go to men now. We get them out of the workforce and make sure, or let's get more and better jobs, better paying jobs for men to raise a family. Take care of your men, because men generally want to take care of their families, take care of their women. It's in male nature to generally want to protect and provide for your family. You don't have to have super high taxes to get a stable birth rate. It's worked in the past, and it can happen again. Why do women put off child-rearing years and stuff like that? Or why do they just go to school? After high school, some have babies in high school, but after high school, where do they go? A lot of them go to college. They don't want to have kids yet. They want to go to college. They want to get a job and then have babies. And that's not done very well for Western society. But you know what? Like I said earlier, especially regarding this Breitbart article, I don't want to be really too negative about Hungary or Prime Minister Orban's efforts to raise his country's birth rate. I like his intentions and how he is standing up to the Western European nations. Of course, if you know Hungary, it's a very small nation, a relatively small nation, compared to Germany, France, but, of course, Hungary, they're making a name for themselves. But you know what? Maybe, perhaps, I am incorrect. And this whole 9.4% increase in births is merely the beginning of a long-term baby boom. Time will tell. History can teach us a lot, but you never know. I hope the best for Hungary and the Hungarian people. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I'm Brazen Eagle, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.